Hello, welcome. This is Donna with Yoga for You, and today I'm going to offer a class for the hips and psoas. Really important areas of our body to keep flexible, supple. So let's go ahead and lie down onto our backs. And as you make your way onto your back, go ahead and close your eyes and just take a few moments here to move into the space of your practice, the space of your own body, and wherever you might be practicing today, whether it's in your room, maybe it's outside. So just close your eyes and feel into these spaces. Yoga is constantly teaching us new ways to experience ourselves and our potential. The internal awareness that develops through yoga is one of the most important aspects of our practice. So as we lie here and we begin to bring an awareness to our breath, taking a full inhale through the nostrils, feeling the abdomen and the ribs gently expand with that breath. Taking a full exhale through the nostrils, feeling our bodies release that breath. Breathing in and breathing out. Developing this internal awareness of our breath, of how our bodies naturally move with each round of breathing. Let's just take a few more rounds of breath here. Just feel as if you're moving your awareness into your own practice. And when you come around to your next exhalation, draw your right knee into your chest. And just take a moment feeling your own hips, that inner groin muscle, the psoas, and start to move your right knee from side to side. And then as you make your way back to center, just use your right hand on that right knee and start to make some circles in one direction. If this causes any discomfort or pain in the hip or the groin, then just try a lesser range of motion and see if that helps. And then reverse the rotation. And then coming back to center, give yourself another hug. And let's just rotate that right ankle a few times, creating a nice suppleness and range of motion, and go the other direction. And then release that right leg out along the length of your mat. Drawing the left knee into the chest. Give it a hug first. And then start to move that knee from side to side. And then holding onto the left knee with the left hand, start to make some big circles with that knee. Just building up that internal awareness of what's going on, and take those circles in the other direction. And coming back to center, give yourself that hug again and rotate that left ankle one direction. And then go the other direction. And then release that left leg out along the length of the mat. Begin to bend both knees and plant your feet on your mat. Hug your right knee into your chest once again and flex your foot. You'll be able to feel that muscle, the anterior tibialis, kind of tighten beneath those hands. And interlace your hands behind the right thigh or hold on to the leg. And begin to press your right heel up towards the ceiling. Keep your foot flexed. And just pause here. Just feeling the stretch along the back of that right thigh. And maybe point and flex your foot a few times, getting a little greater stretch through the calf muscle as well as the front of that right ankle. And then flex that foot again. And if it feels comfortable for you to do so, begin to extend that left leg out along the length of the mat, flexing that foot as well. And creating these opposing actions. The right heel is pressing up as the left heel presses forward. Maintain that steady breath, that cadence of breath that we began the practice with. Let's take one more round of breath from here. And then begin to slide that left foot back in as the left knee bends. And let's cross that right ankle right above the left knee. Keep your right foot flexed strongly so that the ankle remains in neutral. Gently take your right hand to your inner right thigh and start to press that right thigh open. Make sure you're not pressing on your own knee joint. So we're working through that inner thigh. If there's any knee discomfort or pain here, back it off until that subsides. Now you might choose to stay right here for your stretch, or if it's available to you, you're going to lift that left foot up, interlace your hands behind the left thigh. Now if your head is at an awkward angle here in your effort to grab hold of that left thigh, place a little pillow or folded towel or blanket underneath the head. Now rock yourself slightly to the left of your spine. And as you do so, you might feel a little bit more intensity into the stretch on the right hip and into the right glute muscle, the piriformis. Start to draw that left thigh in closer if it's available. And keep working your inner right thigh away from you without using any pressure on it. Take one more round of breath here. And then release that left foot. Extend your right heel once again towards the ceiling. Nice little stretch. You can either hold the back of the thigh, the back of the calf, or perhaps even the ankle, as long as you're not rounding the upper torso away from the mat. And then bring your hands down by your hips, engaging your lower abdominal muscles. Slowly start to lower the right heel down to the mat. Pause. Extend the left leg for just a moment, just to feel we're building that internal awareness. And then planting both feet as the knees are bent once again. Hug the left knee into your chest, flexing the foot. Interlace the hands behind the left thigh and begin to press the left heel up towards the ceiling. And just take a moment and have that awareness of how this side, this left side, feels different perhaps than the right side did. Look up at your left foot, make sure your toes are really nice and active. Now, as long as it feels appropriate for you today, begin to extend that right leg out along the length of the mat. Once again, press up through your left heel and out through your right heel this time. Now, you might start to feel a shaking or a vibration within the leg itself, especially if you're really tight through the back of the leg, the hamstring muscles. If that's the case, if it becomes too much, go ahead and bend that left knee a little bit. So take some of that tension off of those hamstring muscles. Take one more round of breath here. And then begin to slide that right foot back in and cross left ankle right above right knee. Now keep that left foot flexed strongly so the ankle remains in neutral. Take your left hand to your inner left thigh and gently encourage it to open or moving away from the torso. And then you can decide, this might be enough of a stretch for you today, Or draw that right knee in towards the thigh or towards the torso. Interlace your hands. I'm going to flex both feet as I draw that right thigh in. If you need a little cushion under the head again, make sure it's there. And then rock yourself just slightly to the right of your spine so that we encourage a greater sensation of stretch through that left hip and the left glute muscles. Take one more breath here. And then release that right foot back down to the mat. Once again, extend the left heel up to the ceiling for that nice stretch. Depending on your level of flexibility, you might hold on to your left calf muscle or maybe up to your left ankle. It really doesn't make any difference. Just do what feels right for your body today. So building that internal awareness. Then release your hands down by your hips, engaging the lower abdominal muscles. Slowly start to lower that left leg down. And once it touches, extend the right leg for just a moment, just to feel. And drawing both knees into your chest, flex your feet. By flexing the feet, we engage muscle, and it even comes all the way up. We start to engage those lower abdominal muscles, those transversus abdominis. I'm going to reach my arms out, spin my palms down to press into the floor so I have some support. And we're going to start a slow rocking from side to side. If this bothers your lower back, try less range of motion. If it's not bothering your lower back, perhaps you start a greater degree of range of motion here. So we're rocking a little bit more side to side. We're just starting to warm up the spine, the hips. Just take a couple more little rocks here. And then the next time you come back to center, give yourself that little hug. If you'd like, and it doesn't bother your neck, curl your head up. Watch that you don't crunch your shoulders up to the ears. Just a nice stretch to the back of the neck. And then release the head down. I'm going to cross my ankles, rock all the way up, and continue to make our way forward to tabletop. Now, if you're on a very hard surface or you've got sensitive knees, bring a towel or blanket underneath your knees as we come to this little tabletop position. I'm going to flip around. I'm going to do my right leg first, just so that it's facing the camera. Now, check in here, tabletop, that you're not sagging. So find neutral by lifting those bottom ribs up, draw the lower abdominals in, slide the shoulders away from the ears. And just pause here as we start to bring that internal awareness to our core. And now I'm going to bend my right knee and bring it straight up. I call this the fire hydrant pose. So if you own a big dog, there we go. So we're going to lift it up and we're going to bring it down and up a few times. Keep breathing. One more time. Now pause here, extend that right leg out, pause, and then release it down to the floor. I'm going to work at pressing the pinky toe edge of my foot down. And that's going to give me a little lift to my inner right thigh and my right knee. And you could stay right here for a nice inner thigh or adductor stretch, or begin to drop your hips slowly back. I'm not worried about going too far. I'm going just far enough that I'm really experiencing that stretch. If you want a little more, try curling your left toes under as you sit back. So you start to wake up the toes and that left foot as well. I'm feeling quite an intense stretch in my inner right thigh right now. Take one more round of breath here. And then slowly shift up and bring that right leg in. And I'm going to flip around. You don't have to. I want to so you can see. We find neutral first. We're going to lift that left knee up. I'm flexing the foot, and we're going to lift and lower a few times. Warming up the hip joint. One more. And now extend that left leg out. Set it down and work at pressing the pinky toe edge of the foot down to get that lift. Just pause here. Start to build up that internal awareness. What does this feel like? What's the sensation? Now, if you feel like you could tolerate a little bit more sensation, slowly drop back. I have found if I drop all the way back, I actually lose some of that sensation on the inner left thigh. So I'm really pressing my sits bones towards the wall behind me. Chest is lifted a bit. Now curl your right toes under if you did the same on the other side. Sit back a little, wake up those right toes, the right foot. Stay with the breath here. And then shift forward and slide that left knee in. I'm going to walk my knees really wide on my mat. Allow my big toes to come together and slowly start to sit back into a wide child's pose. Now, if your knees aren't comfortable going into this deep of flexion, this deep of bend, then this may not be available for you, or you can try sitting up a little higher. Just make sure there's no knee pain. And once I get my hips settled down, I'm going to rock a little. So I really get into that feeling of being grounded in that root chakra. And then see if you can walk your hands forward, releasing your forehead in the direction of the mat. Just take a few breaths here. And then shift forward. And this may or may not be available for everyone. I'm going to turn my toes out. My legs are really wide, and I'm going to start to sit back. So I call this like a little froggy pose. My knees can go wider. I'm pretty flexible through my inner thighs, so this is more accessible to me. This may not be accessible to you, and that's fine. We won't stay here long. And then I'm going to come up and slowly bring myself back into neutral. We're going to step our right foot forward to the front of the mat and come into a lunge. Now, if you have blocks available, you can always bring your hands to blocks for more support and balance. Otherwise, you can bring your hands up onto that right thigh. We're going to work into a lunge. So I'm working the psoas muscle. It attaches here at the 12th thoracic vertebra on my spine, wraps around the front hip, which is the greater trochanter, and attaches into the lesser trochanter in my inner groin. So when I start to stretch here, I'm really feeling this stretch through the front of that groin and left hip. What happens when we're very sedentary, or we do a lot of commuting or sitting at the computer, this muscle can become shorter. So we want to make sure we lengthen it. I'm still working at tilting my tailbone down and allowing my chest to lift. Remember, because of the where it originates, this muscle, when we lift up, we create a greater degree of stretch. Now, if you want a little bit more sensation, we can reach those left fingertips up towards the ceiling. The higher that arm reaches and lifts those left ribs, the greater degree of stretch that I feel. Take one more breath here, and then release the hand down. Shift back. Just take a moment to straighten your right leg and roll those right toes up. Get that strong action in the foot or that Barbie foot. Chest is lifting. Now energetically try and pull that right heel back. Don't let it actually move, but try. So we once again get that nice stretch to the back of that leg. Shift forward. Slide that right leg back and bring that left foot forward. See if you can find alignment so that the knee stacks over the ankle. Make your way up to blocks or to the thigh. Tilt your tailbone slightly down so we can lift the chest up. You may choose to stay here or start to deepen the lunge, up to you. If you start to deepen too far and you're feeling too great a pull in that right groin, then back it up a little. Keep breathing. Now, if you feel like you can tolerate a little bit deeper sensation here, extend those right fingertips up to the ceiling. The further that arm moves back behind you and reaches up, it's going to pull those right ribs up away from the hip bone, and it's going to create that deeper sensation of stretch. Take one more breath here, and then release the hand down, straighten your left leg, roll those left toes up. Try to hug that left hip back. Now press your left heel down and feel like you're trying to pull it back towards the back of your mat. Chest lifts and create that isometric stretch to the back of that left leg. And then shift forward. We're going to slide that left foot back. Plant your hands. Curl your toes under, and let's move into our first dog of the practice. I like to start with bent knees so that I create length from my wrist to my shoulders, from my shoulders back to my hips. Draw your front ribs in, lower abdominals engage, and if you can comfortably straighten the legs, do so. Feel almost like you're clawing the mat, so press the fingertips down, press the knuckles down. Keep moving the weight back into the hips and down through the backs of the legs. Just take a couple more rounds of breath here. Now walk your feet wide on your mat. And then start to just sway the hips from side to side. If this feels too much, you're in here too long, then drop down to child's pose. And then come back to center. The feet come back into alignment. Start to walk your hands back to meet your feet. If you cannot touch the floor, make sure you bend your knees deeper. You want that support, that feeling of being grounded. Allow the crown of the head to drape towards the earth. If you have any issues such as glaucoma or macular degeneration, any issues where you shouldn't have pressure building in the eyes or head, then you can bring your hands up to your shins and lift your head up so that it's level with the heart. There's so many options for us. And now begin to heel toe your feet wide on your mat. I'm going to turn my toes just slightly out at a diagonal, begin to bend my knees and come into Malasana, this big yogi squat. Now, if your knees say, no way am I doing that, you can come up and balance the forearms on the thighs for support. Otherwise, elbows wedge into the inner thighs, press them open and bring your palms to your heart. Lower belly engages, the tail reaches down as the heart lifts up. Now, if you feel like you want to rock a little, just add a little something, you're welcome to do that. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Last breath. And then release the fingertips back down. As we start to straighten in the legs, rotate your toes forward so we immediately find alignment. Heel toe your feet back into inner hip distance. Inhale, rise to either your fingertips or hands to shins to establish a long spine. Shoulders slide away from the ears and belly draws in. Fold forward. Inhale, come up, bring your hands to your hips as the elbows and shoulders roll towards the ceiling, and pivot your way up. And pause a moment. Release the hands, just shake it out. And make your way to the front of your mat and find mountain pose of Tadasana. Lengthen your tailbone down as the heart lifts. Breathe here. And we're going to work again on that psoas muscle. And we're going to work the right inner groin. Set your gaze on something in front of you. This is referred to as the drishti point. And then lift that right knee up. Drop the right sits bone slightly down and flex that right foot. Pause here. Now this shortens the psoas muscle. So now we're going to take that right leg back, I'm going to press those toes down, tilt my tailbone slightly down as my chest lifts. Bringing that right arm up, reach those right fingertips up. We did this when we were on the floor, and now we're doing it standing. Little bit more challenge, or a lot more challenge to our balance here. So breathe here. Now bring a hand back down to your hip. Step forward, maybe not touching the toes, and lift that right knee up again. Find your balance. Here we go. Step the right foot back. Tilt that tailbone down as the heart lifts. Reach the right fingertips up. Watch that those front ribs don't thrust forward. Last time, bring the hand to your hip. Step forward. Pause and lift that right knee. Breathe here. Here we go. This is the last time. We're going to step that foot back. Tilt. We want to find neutral pelvis, so tilt that tailbone slightly down. Reach that right arm up. And this time, maybe add the left arm. Crescent pose or Anjaneyasana. Take a breath here. Bring your hands to your heart. Step your right foot forward. Release the hands and find neutral in mountain pose once again. Second side, bring your hands to your hips. Lift your left knee up. Flex the foot, drop that left sits bone slightly. See if you can seek that balance. Now step that left foot back, root the toes down. Tilt the tail down as the hips lift, chest lifts. Reach the left fingertips up to the ceiling. Breathe. Now release left hand to hip, step forward, and lift that left knee up again. Pause. Get ready, here we go. Step the left foot back, root down, lift that left hand up. And now release. This is the last round. Step that left foot through. Knee rises. Pause. Seek balance. Step that left foot back. Root first. Tilt that tail down slightly. Reach the left fingertips up. This time, add the right hand. Anjaneyasana. Bring your palms to your heart. Step that left foot forward and release the hands. Now just shake that out a little bit. Rooting down, I'm going to face the camera for a moment. Bring your hands to your hips. And rooting down through your right foot, lift your left heel up. And then rotate that left knee off to the left. Now watch that you didn't let that right hip just swing to the right. Press it in. So maintain this real nice neutral pelvis. You can leave the left toes on the floor or slide that foot up into tree pose. Some of you might prefer your tree pose way up into the inner thigh or down at the ankle. Just don't press into your own knee. Bring your palms together at your heart. Find balance. See if you can continue to rotate that inner right thigh back without any pain in the knee. Keep pressing it towards the wall behind you. We did this when we were lying on our back in that Sukhi Radrasana, or that figure 4 pose. Now bring that left knee forward, release it down, shake that out. Hands to your hips, root down. Press down into your left foot as that right heel lifts. Watch that the hips don't sway to one side. And then externally rotate that right knee. Start to lift it up for balance. Keep pressing your left hip towards your right hip. Bring your palms together. Breathe here. And now bring that right knee forward. Release the foot down, release the hands, and shake that out. So we're going to do a pose called Sukhi Radrasana. We did this lying down where we crossed that ankle over the knee. We're going to try to do it standing up. So if you want to also work on balance, you can do it in the middle of the floor. Otherwise, we can do it to go to a wall. So if I were facing the wall, just pretend, because I don't want to turn away from you. If we were facing the wall, we would balance on our right foot And cross that left ankle over. I'm still flexing my foot strongly so I maintain neutral ankle. That left thigh's gonna open. Then we start to bend the standing knee. I'm sticking my bum way back and lifting my chest. So I'm feeling a significant stretch in my left glute, the piriformis, the left outer hip, those hip stabilizing muscles. The further I drop lower, the more sensation I'm going to feel. So I'm holding onto the wall. Now, if you're practicing balance, you could bring your palms together at the heart or come here. There's, of course, it goes further into arm balance, but this being a more gentle class, we're just going to come down as far as we feel comfortable. Take one more breath here, and then stand up, release. Shake that out. So let's do the second side. I'm going to hold on to the wall. Cross, right ankle over left, right above left knee, and then flex that foot. Start to bend your left knee as you stick your butt way back. Keep your chest lifted. The deeper I bend my standing knee and drop my hips lower, the greater sensation I feel. Now, if you start to round here in through the spine, you're going to lose a lot of that stretch, because remember where we discussed where the muscles attach. So lift your chest. You can choose to bring your hands to your heart. Bring your forearms down as you drop lower, entirely up to you. And then release and shake that out. So come to a long edge of your mat. Wide stance, you choose how wide. So for those of you that are more flexible, I want you to narrow your stance. For those that are a little less, take a wider stance. Inhale, find neutral pelvis. Exhale, I'm going to micro bend my knees so I don't put undue pressure or tension on the knees. And we're going to hinge forward. Releasing fingertips to the floor. Shoulders slide back away from the ears. And then begin to fold forward. Prasarita Padottanasana, this wide angled forward fold. There's so many things you can do with this. You can grab hold of your ankles and draw yourself in half. Fingertips can come to the floor. You can wrap your index fingers around your big toe. Just rock forward a little and make sure that you're not allowing the weight to shift back all the way into the heels. So rock forward enough until you feel your hips start to align over those ankles. Now, if you want, you can start to walk your feet a little wider. So obviously now my head is almost to the floor. That is not necessarily my goal. I'm just working at stretching the backs of the legs and my hips. Bring your fingertips to the floor. Inhale and lift your heart up. Exhale, fold deeply. Inhale, lift your heart up. We're creating long spine. Exhale, fold. Now start to heel toe your feet slowly towards one another. And take your time as you feel what's going on. Cultivating that awareness. I'm going to keep moving them in until they're about outer hip distance apart. Bring your hands to your hips. Roll those shoulders and elbows back. Inhale, hinge up. Take your time as we've been upside down a long time. Breathe here. I'm going to make my way back to the front of my mat. Find mountain pose. Inhale, arms up and overhead. Exhale, fold forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, lift your heart, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, step one foot at a time back and find your downward facing dog. Continue to work that internal awareness. What is going on in your body? What about your alignment, your breath? Take one more breath here. And as we exhale, release your knees wide. And let's come back to that wide child's pose, Let's take one more round of breath here. And then start to walk your hands back towards your body as you come upright. And let's take a seat. Bring the soles of the feet together in Baddha Konasana. That's bound angle, or some people call it the cobbler pose. Press your inner thighs down. Remember, we're not using any pressure on the knees. We're using those inner thigh muscles to work those thighs towards the floor. Lift your chest up. Some of you out there might be really flexible. And a lot of the flexibility in this pose, which is really the outer hips, has to come the way we're born, okay? The way we came out of our mother's womb, how our skeletal system is arranged through the hips. But otherwise, let's take those feet forward. So if you're really flexible, you can keep those heels in close and fold forward. Otherwise, take those feet a little further forward. Create more space here. Long spine, and as long as your lower back feels nice and healthy, you can start to fold forward. Maybe bringing your head down towards your heels, wherever it works. Just start to draw your lower abdominals back to the spine. Take one more round of breath here. And then begin to make your way up. I'm going to slide my feet in a little closer just because I can. All right? And it feels all right for me to do so. I'm going to lengthen and then once again, fold forward. So I'm getting a little greater degree of sensation, that stretch through my outer hips right here. And then slowly begin to rise up. Bring those inner thighs together. And take the feet out. I'm going to lean back a little. I'm not collapsing my chest. My chest lifts. I'm going to lift my toes up so I once again have that Barbie feet, that little shape here. And windshield wiper out the legs. And then making my way into a pose called Agni Stambhasana, or fire log pose. So what I want to do is take my left foot across the front of the body. I'm not bringing it in. It's not this kind of cross. I'm bringing it across and flexing that foot. So my ankle stays once again in neutral. Then I'm going to try and take that right ankle, place it on top of the left thigh. My left knee stacks over that right foot or left foot. I'm mirroring you, so flex both feet. Now, if there is no way, I call them the hell no poses. If this is a hell no pose for you, that's fine. Instead, you're going to stack here and try and flex the feet. My legs are a little wider than they normally would be in what we think of the classical cross-legged position, and my feet are flexed. Otherwise, we're going to work at stacking. This is not a natural pose for me. It took me years and years and years to even get this far. And here I'm feeling a quite significant stretch on that outer right hip, okay? Breathe. Now for some of you, if this seems pretty easy, you can start to fold forward. Make sure you're drawing the lower abdominals back towards the spine. Take one more round of breath here. And then slowly begin to make your way up. Lean back, support yourself. Unwind and windshield wiper those legs again. And we're going to move to that second side. So as we sit up, this time we're going to take that right foot along the bottom. And remember this is away from my body. The heel's not right up against my groin. It's away from the body and I'm flexing the foot. I'm going to stack that left foot on top and flex that foot. If you press through the big toe mounds of each foot, you won't even be able to see the soles of your feet. Take a moment And just build that internal awareness of what's going on in your hips. What's it feel like this side compared to the other? Again, if this is a hell no pose for you, then you cross here and work the same posture. A lot of times this might be too much for someone that has knee issues. Now you're welcome to stay upright, and might be a plenty of a stretch for many of you. If you feel like you can tolerate more, you can fold forward. Draw the lower abdominals back. Keep breathing. And then slowly begin to make your way upright. Lean back, support yourself, take those legs wide. Again, let's windshield wiper. Extend the legs out in front of you. Take a moment to just shake them out. Maybe give your thighs a little nice massage. Rub the kneecaps. And we're going to make our way onto our backs. So descending to the mat with control. We're going to pause here. And then draw the knees in towards your chest. And I'm going to give you a few options here. One is that you just take the knees wide. Maybe the soles of the feet come together. If that's not an option, just allow them to be wide. Otherwise, I'm going to bring the soles of my feet together. I'm going to grab hold of the outside edges of my feet and come into that same pose we just did. This is Baddha Konasana, but we're lying on our back. Supta Baddha Konasana. If your head is at an awkward angle here, make sure you place a blanket or pillow underneath the head. Now from here, just because I feel like I want to, I'm going to extend my right leg out. It may go straight, it may not. And bring it back in. Extend that left leg out. And bring it back in. Let's do that just a couple more times. One more time on each side. And then come back to center. Bring your knees together. Extend the feet towards the ceiling. Now see if you can cross your right ankle directly, or right knee directly in front of your left knee. Flex the feet. And I'm going to start to bend my knees so they're coming out to the side. You might just kind of grab wherever you can grab. Keep your feet flexed so we have active feet. This might be plenty of a stretch for you. You could try to reach for your ankles, or some of you might be able to reach for your heels. Keeping those feet flexed, we're going to draw those thighs inwards towards the torso. I'm hoping you're feeling a nice degree of stretch in your outer right hip and into your right glute. Take one more breath here. And then release, extend the feet towards the ceiling. Cross the left knee in front of right knee. Start to bend the knees so the feet come out to the sides. And once again, grab wherever it's comfortable for you to do so. Keep breathing. Let's take one more breath here. And then release, extend those feet back to the ceiling. Open the legs, hold on to the inner thighs, give them just a little press. And bring the legs back in and set those feet back on the mat. Heel toe your feet to the outer edges as the arms come open wide. And we'll come back to that nice windshield wiper. Now the next time both knees drop to the right, pause there. I'm keeping my feet wide. Now if this bothers your lower back, your knees, then I want you to stack the left knee over the right. Otherwise my feet are wide, feet are flexed. If you feel like you can go for a deeper stretch, you can take the right ankle, place it just above that left knee, and allow the weight of that right leg to take you deeper into a twist. I'm turning my gaze the opposite direction. My knees are going. And now bring your gaze back center. Unhook that leg if it's hooked and come back to center. Once again, windshield wiper. The next time the knees drop to the left, let them pause. If you feel like you want to go a little deeper, take that left ankle on top of the outside of the right thigh, and then turn your gaze the opposite direction of your knees. And now bring your gaze back center. Unhook that leg. One more time, windshield wiper. Come back to center, heel toe your feet together. Start to draw those knees in towards your chest. Give yourself a little hug here. Rock yourself a little as we nurture the lower back, the kidneys, the adrenal glands. Come back to center. If it felt okay when we began class, you want to curl your forehead up to your knees once again. Shoulders relax, stretch out the neck. As you release the head down, take that length with you. Rock your head a little side to side. And then one at a time, extend one leg out. Let that foot just roll open in its default position and do the same with the other leg. I'm going to wrap my shoulders slightly underneath me as I release my arms. And we release ourselves into our final resting pose of Shavasana. Feel yourself begin to relax. Allow the breath to become steady and even. Be open to new experiences, new sensations that arise. Develop your internal awareness through mindfulness so that you can expand this awareness to encompass all aspects of your life. As you lie here and rest, assimilating your practice, just build that internal awareness of the body, how you're feeling, the support of the floor beneath you. Just feeling the space around you, the air temperature. Just notice how the breath naturally moves through the body. You can remain here in Shavasana as long as you need or want to. Only making your way back to a seat whenever you're ready. We close our practice by bringing our palms to our heart. It's a gesture of offering our practice. I thank you for joining me today. Even though we may not be face to face, we're sharing our spaces, we're sharing our time, and we're sharing our energy. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Namaste.